What's happening? Scott Yurgalevich from Philadelphia Cricket Club here. I saw your swing on Reddit, figured I'd take a peek at it. So some people have already mentioned it, but you've got some good advice going down in the thread. You have a wrist hinge problem and a right arm issue. So, it's not necessarily a left shoulder dipping on the way down problem. It's more of that's a product of the things you're doing because you're not hinging the club properly on the way back. So I'm going to try to keep this really short and really simple. But basically, when you take the club back, and I'm going to show you this here, you're going to watch the club get back to what I would consider P2. So for me, in my world, P2 is where the club is parallel to the ground. So there's a lot of ways to do this, and many golfers do it differently, but most of the really good players I see will get to P2, club parallel to the ground, by the time their right hand or the butt end of the club is maybe about at their right thigh, maybe just outside their right thigh. Yours is out here. It's by the time it's almost abdomen height, your arms are really, really long and straight back here. So if you notice, the sooner we get to club parallel to the ground, the more I have to hinge my wrists on the way back. So am I saying that you need to preset it immediately? Absolutely not. What I am saying is you just have to do it sooner. You need to activate the right wrist and the right elbow a little bit sooner. So you need to start getting the butt end of the club to point more down sooner. It's going to look a little more like this. And the checkpoints for you are going to be, where's the butt end of the club? Is it really far away from me at P2? Or is it closer to me at P2? If you can start to get to that point, you're going to get the club moving in a much better position. So let's look at it from this angle. So from P1 to P2, you notice how the club is lower to the ground. Your position would look like this. One more time, but doing it slightly differently. So as you take the club back, P2, my right elbow is going to bend a little bit. My right wrist is going to bend backwards. Your P2, your arms are really long and really straight. Your right wrist has not bent back almost at all at that point. That is the root cause of the problem. So when we look at golf swings, we're always looking for the root cause of the problem, not just attacking the visual, the visual problem that we see on the camera. So because you don't hinge the club properly on the way back, you then have to compensate elsewhere. And so when you make these backswings, no wrist hinge, you have to turn a little bit more. That's about all I can get out of that swing. You're going to see it here yourself, that you have to make a really big turn, but the club doesn't go back nearly as far as it should. And since you have no leverage here from the wrists and arms and hands, you're going to have to create some speed just using your body and your left shoulder to go down. And it's really hard to do that. You can only create so much speed with that. So that would be the equivalent of me trying to hit a nail with a hammer, but not doing it with any wrist hinge. So it would look like this. I can only swing my arm up and down so quickly, but if I add that lever, hinge it up, I can use less body motion. I still need some, but I can really precisely hit the nail every single time because my hands, arms, and wrists are bending and folding and hinging properly. So really simple thing I would work on, I mean, this is the most basic drill I would have you work on, is I would set you up from this position here. I'd have you just set up with maybe like a wedge or a pitching wedge, and I would just work on going from P1 to P2 and then hitting some shots from there and pitching them out there. And then from when you're comfortable with that drill, just get it going back a little bit further. So from P1 to P2 again. Here we go. And then I would just kind of start to turn and rotate. All right, there's P3. I think if you can do that, you're going to start understanding how the right arm bends and folds so the club can go back properly. And you're just going to have a huge amount of power through the golf ball that you just didn't have before. It's like trying to crack a whip without using any wrist actions. It would be this, when I can create a lot of speed down here just doing it that way. One last way to do it, you can have that same whip effect if you grab a alignment rod, hold it, and just start going right wrist back, extend on through where you make your golf swing. So right wrist back, hear the whoosh, and then make it bigger. The better you can do that and the more you understand that, the better it's going to get.